All right, looking like we're getting into last match of the day. I'm pretty sure I can hang in there. It's only one more. I think it is, you know, so far from what we've seen, Tricky is on a bit of a tear at the moment. Had two pretty massive victories to even get to this position, but Froot is on a bit of a warpath at the moment. I don't think he's dropped a single map so far in the bracket, and I mean, depending on who you ask, probably should have already been in mood, so it's gonna be a tough one, I think. But you know what? I believe in true miracles. We've seen some kind of outrageous stuff throughout the bracket so far. I think given the maps that are available, it's gonna be an uphill battle for sure, but I think there's a few maps Cookie can lean into that should help here. Unfortunately, you know, with two bans going in, we'll see if those maps actually get to come out, but so far it looks like, what do we have? Froot's gonna be banning first. No, okay. So Cookie's gonna be protected. Yeah, okay. So Cookie protects the HC2 here. Obvious sense. I think if you're looking at Froot as a player, I don't think there's probably any notable weakness you can point at, except for maybe that hidden pool and maybe that reading. So Cookie's gonna lean to the strongest weakness he can find here. And then Froot decides, you know, I am the accuracy god. There's no reason I should not get to play Nomad 1. Protects the Nomad 1 and then bans out Nomad Sits. Sad day. We don't get to see no Nomad Sits. In this match, at least. So far, both players still debating. It's up in the air right now. I think I think at the moment they're trying to figure out what maps they actually feel like playing through here. I mean, it should not be much of a surprise to anyone here that Froot is going to be such a strong all-around player on basically any map that you pick into him, so I don't think there's going to be any safe pits here, but thankfully it's a decent matchup. Cookie favors HD a lot here, and Froot has been known to not really enjoy the hidden pits, so I do think that's a mod that, you know, if enough of them stay open, Cookie will have, you know, some stronger picks into this match in the form of those. Alright, looks like we are locked in as far as the bans and the protects go. So, Hidden 2 and Nomad 1 for Cookie and Froot, respectively, protected. And then Cookie wanted to do away with both the Nomad 4 and the Hard Rock 4, whilst Froot banned out Nomad 6 and Hard Rock 3. Pretty solid, I think, expected picks all around. And Cookie starts the match off with a map we haven't seen all day. We get HD4. This is a pretty strong pick, I think, honestly. I mean, given that it's a more precision oriented map and there's like, you know, a couple more difficult rhythm sections, but nothing too crazy. It's basically going to be about that comfortability on Hidden. I could see this being a pretty decent first pick to kick off the map, so... And it's gonna be quite a bit different than I think Froot's preferred skill set here. Froot is known to, you know, over excel as far as aim consistency, accuracy, some of the more common skill sets that you'd see, but this is a pretty uncommon map as far as this pool is, so I kind of like it. Alright, very early in. Can't say too much as far as the act is concerned. Looks like Cookie's falling a little bit more behind, but Froot already showing a little bit of that uncomfortability in Hidden as a mod. Misses on this slower build up before any of the more complex like aim parts or rhythms come in. But they do end up trading breaks there on that one slider. Froot's accuracy going to hold the lead for the time being. Still not too much to say. After that initial break, looks like they both kind of found their pace a bit more on the map, but we still haven't hit that rhythm section I was talking about prior, which I think is going to be kind of the make or break for this entire match at this point. And here it is. They both find breaks. I think whoever's holding accuracy through this section is going to matter a lot here. Froot, again, finding a drop. Accuracy has been slowly falling, whilst Cookie has mostly remained pretty much the same throughout that section. And with another break, it actually does flip to Cookie finally for the first time throughout this map, but it's still, you know, only the halfway point. There's still plenty of map go and plenty of places where, you know, one break could really swing the tide here. Yeah, I think a lot of these patterns proving to be pretty good for Cookie's pick going forward. Finally starting to build a foothold into this map and finally starting to really show that this mod, you know, leaving this map open and leaving this mod open as a whole has been super good for Cookie's end. And does hit that slider. So miss this exact type of slider at the very beginning of the map. It's the aim required to hit that slider after the previous note is, you know, not a joke. It's actually pretty easy to break on that and like slightly under aim, and because of that, Cookie gets to hold and actually build up this lead finally. Now looking towards the end of the map, there hasn't really been a spot that Froot's been able to build any sizable combo at any point now. Cookie far and away showing that the first pick advantage here, pretty important. You know, by the end of this map, accuracy's basically evened out, but the fact that Cookie's able to hold through all of these sections that tripped up Froot really made this look like a blowout of a match. Going into the final section here, accuracy's still tied, but you know, one final miss at the end, and I think Cookie takes it there in form of the accuracy and the score. Yeah. Wow, major props on that pick. That is an insane first pick to kick off Cookie's run as far as this match is concerned. And that is the first map that Froot has dropped all tournament at this point. And it's off the back of the very first pick that Cookie had in this match. Super solid start. And I think, fairly unsurprisingly, we get the immediate no-mod pick here, the no-mod 1 pick in the form of Froot's Protect. What I think is going to benefit Froot most here is that because double banning or double picking is in play, you know, we're not going to see another hidden right away out of Froot or from Cookie. But Froot is free to pit these no-mod picks as much as he likes here. And no-mod 1 is going to be right up his skill set of what I can expect is going to be, if not an FC, probably a high 98, likely a 99. So we'll just have to let the map play out, but this is probably going to be a very different map than what we just saw. Still super early in, but I mean, it's clear as day to see that as soon as we switch to remove hidden, Froot is going to be playing at that level that we expect Froot to play at pretty much every matchup. I think no-mod 1, not only in terms of, you know, the players left in off-roading, but probably the entire tournament, Froot is probably one of the scariest in that department. Does break there, but I mean, it's kind of a testament to how strong this pick is for Froot that ends up chain missing like 3 notes and still is at 99 accuracy pretty comfortably. Drops a little bit there, but you know, Cookie ends up trading again. Froot is finding a bit more breaks on some of these bursts though. I'm not actually sure what's going on there. A lot of this map is not going to be too crazy difficult in terms of mechanics, so Froot obviously still has the upper hand here, but you know, given how solid Cookie has shown in terms of combo department as a whole and keeping pace with a lot of his opponents, I think you need to lock in a little bit as far as Froot's concerned. Still has, you know, an overwhelming accuracy lead, and the score is growing because of it, but I think if you suffer one of those breaks at a more important moment, you could lose out on a ton of score. More than halfway through. Looks like we've hit the point where the map stabilized enough to where we can kind of see where the comfort lies. It probably is adjusting back to the no mod. That was the result of a couple of those misses, because at the moment it looks like Froot is doing classic Froot stuff at this point. Holding a pretty sizable combo lead, holding that nearly mid 99 accuracy that you would expect from a no mod 1 pitch, and at this rate looking to probably FC the rest of the map. I think there's only a couple more bursts that might trip him up, but the rest of the aim required here is not going to be too much harder than what we just saw, except for this part. No, it was just that one jump, so alright, listening into the outro of the map. Despite what seemed like a pretty uncharacteristic and like shaky start on Froot's end, does end up missing there towards the very end, but I still believe was a 1000 combo. I think like exactly 1000. So solid 99 accuracy. 1003 combo. Yeah. Classic Froot, no mod 1 pitch. I think what's funny is I think for anyone who knows anything about VSUS and knows Froot, this is probably a monumental low roll on Froot's end. You kind of expect Froot to just cleanly SS most maps in no mod 1. But regardless, ridiculously solid play, and you know, despite Cookie's early lead, getting this very first pick, is gonna have to do more than just that if he wants to try to maintain this. So because Cookie can't lean into the HD here right away, I'd almost... It's tough given what's left in the pool to really find a pitch that I think they could take here reliably or like consistently. I guess you could try to maybe bank on some no mod. Yeah, maybe no mod 5. That's what it does seem like Cookie's leaning into. I mean, I do think as far as Froot's skill set is concerned, has shown lower accuracy in a lot of the more like tapping intensive maps, but I'm pretty sure even in some of Froot's worst accuracy, like no mod, like speed tapping, no mod picks, is still able to hold combo. It's gonna be scary no matter what you pick here. I think not being able to double pick hidden is going to be pretty brutal in this matchup in particular, so I think this is probably one of Cookie's better picks, definitely. But I could see Froot still having a pretty sizable pop-up play, especially if he was able to practice a good amount beforehand. No mod 5 starting up here. I think given that this isn't crazy speed capped at the moment, it's still 227. It's still something that I think they could reliably play. The fact that this isn't going to be like, a hard rock speed pick, for example, probably is going to help out Froot's accuracy. It is showing that Cookie's going to have the early athlete. And, even though that's just the intro, a lot of the bursts are going to be fairly similar to that. We'll have to see if Froot ends up adjusting and is able to bring up that accuracy a good bit into the actual Ki. Alright, here comes some of the tapping strain that this map has to offer. At the moment, though, it looks like the intro was just kind of Froot getting adjusted to the map itself. Doesn't really seem like any of this is going to be tripping him up much more than it had been previously. Now is holding a much better accuracy later on and is still able to maintain that combo. It's still going to be super close with the score, but Froot showing that this is still going to be something within the realm of what he's able to play. Here come a bit more of those streams. This is pretty easy to lose accuracy on and pretty easy to overtap or like let go of these buzz sliders pretty early, but it seems like they're both going to end up holding through this. It's literally at the very last section now. Score lead barely in Froot's favor. A miss here could flip it, but it looks like they're both going to close it out. Oh my. It was almost a spin to win moment. Honestly, given if Cookie had maybe one accuracy more, probably could have taken that off of spins alone, but Froot showing that that's not fast enough to keep him down. So, solid showing. And yeah, it is crazy to think that that one very, very early break from Cookie, even though it seems not so impactful, ended up mattering a ton there. So we've already seen Fruit's Protect come through. Ends up taking that breakpoint there. I'd have to assume we probably see like maybe a Hard Rock 1, maybe No Mod 3 pit come through. I mean, there's a lot of decently strong pits here, but I feel like those are the ones we're most likely to see. No Mod 2. Yeah, No Mod 2 came through. All right. Off the back of that, more tapping oriented pitch. You know, this is going to be lower BPM, something I think Froot still is going to be comfortable enough to play. And I mean, I can see a world where there's a good chance maybe they both end up FCing this, but you know, given that we're actually in match and there's going to be some nerves on the line, we might see some breaks in some places, but we'll just have to let the map play out and see what happens. Dude, I feel like, I mean, this is a non sequitur, but I feel like every single match I've commentated, I've seen this map. This is like the most pitched map. But kicking it off, we've got Froot holding the double S, showing that this is going to be the BPM that he is way more comfortable playing. And already seeing as he was able to combo through the No Mod 5 tapping pitch, this is going to be way more within the realm of what Froot is able to do. Quarter of the way through the map, Froot's still holding that double S, could miss it anytime soon. Froot's still holding combo, but the accuracy lead, probably the biggest we've seen in this map at this point. So Cookie's really gonna have to stay locked in throughout the entirety of this map. Finally does drop that double S, but still not seeming like he's willing to let up on this combo. Aim's still looking super comfortable on Froot's end, and now going halfway into the map, with them both holding, you know, it should be a pretty close match, but it's still going to be almost 80k in favor of Froot off the back of that accuracy alone. We got one bigger burst coming in here. These sliders is really going to be only one other section, I think, that's really going to trip either of them up. We're going to have to see if they're able to maintain this accuracy through it. At the moment, though, I mean, Froot is holding, you know, a 99.7 and is looking pretty unstoppable now. Given that there's only going to be this little burst going in here, there's not really any real ending to this map. It kind of ends abruptly and really slow. Froot does break, but I mean, there's nothing here. There's no map. I don't think it matters. There's not enough notes, I'm pretty sure. It's like one slider. Yeah, it's unfortunate. If there was actually map after that at the end of the 30 seconds, Cookie maybe could have come back there, but solid score from both of them though. 933 to an 875. Off the back of that pitch. Yeah, HC2 coming through. Okay, I was gonna say it definitely probably needed to be a hit in here now that double pick isn't in effect. Does seem like using the protect right away makes the most sense here. I think, given what we saw from that HD4, it's like this could be a pretty strong lean as far as Cookie's chances are of getting a point here. Cookie saying, low-key, I don't have a good score on this, and Froot saying, I didn't even play it anyways, so we'll see if that's actually the case, but regardless, yeah, I think if you're going into this matchup and, you're trying to pick at anything that you think could build up a way for you to get in and secure a victory somehow. It would have to be within this hidden pool. It has to be within some of these more reading oriented maps that Froot will not have played much and will not have practiced. So, I mean, I think this is easily Cookie's best opportunity here in the form of this hidden 2. Consistent breaks coming through. Froot showing that the hidden 2 in the ARA is definitely going to prove to be an issue here. Finally about to breach about a 100k lead. Cookie is looking decently solid, but this is where the actual aim part kicks in. Gonna have to be pretty strict on these timings. Does end up hitting that note slightly too late and misses, but with a traded break there, it already looks like at the halfway point of the map, it's going to be too much for Froot to come back. Unless Cookie chain misses like that. That was a lot of misses in a row. There's only going to be so much map left. Cookie misses a lot of the back and forths, but 120k, it's, yeah, and because of the accuracy, it is growing pretty huge, even whenever they both reset combos. It's looking like a pretty solid conversion for Cookie, but I don't know, I wouldn't say it was the easiest of ones. Did look like there were some points that Cookie, you know, against a different opponent may have let this one slip, but showing that it's going to be a strong pitch nonetheless. Fruit type's unlucky. Puts maybe one of the most human performances we might see out of him, and then we'll probably SS the next map. But it is what it is. Now with what's left in the pool, it's you know, there's, yeah, Nomod 3 coming through. I mean, aside from this just being another Nomod to add to Fruit's belt, it's also going to be Noah. I mean, clearly we were going to get this map, so is that even surprising? But I do think this is going to be something that Cookie's going to be pretty solid at playing. Cookie's shown, like, any good reading player is going to be, you know, somewhat competent on this alt, this more slower BPM type of playing. And with how versatile Cookie's showing that they're playing is at the moment, I could see a pretty insane score coming through off of their end, but, you know, every single Nomod pitch so far, Froot has had pretty outstanding accuracy. It's going to be pretty hard to actually get back into this match unless Froot has some major misses at pretty critical moments. Early into the map, we're seeing both of them settle into the map a little bit more after that initial pitch. Seems like Froot hasn't really missed a beat despite having to play that hidden 2 at the moment. Already, you know, comfortably sitting at that 99 at, and Cookie has been, I think, already, yeah, maybe 3 misses at this point. Could be slider braids, but regardless, you know, not looking like this aim is going to be as on point and this tapping as on point as what Froot's showing. And, like, are we really surprised that our resident Noah lover has a really good score on this map? This is, I think, a pretty hard one for Cookie to try to get back into now, especially given the fact that it doesn't seem like Froot's going to be letting up on this combo anytime soon. It's a longer map, but, you know, almost reaching that 200k threshold for a score lead, it's going to be pretty impossible to come back unless we see some major chain misses come in. A couple misses here and there like that, like we just saw, is not going to be enough, unfortunately, I feel like. Alright, finally passing that halfway point. We only just now pass, or get close to that 200k threshold that I was talking about. Tookie's finding some ground to combo back in, but I mean, the accuracy has pretty much not wavered at all on Froot's end. At this break, Tookie's gonna see now that, you know, aside from that miss and maybe 5 100s, Froot is holding nearly a perfect play. This is gonna be a hard one to climb back into. Oh, and I mean, it it would have, like I said, taken a pretty massive meltdown from Froot to make this one close now. Froot does end, or Cookie does end up missing there, so the map is going to be officially sealed out now. Froot's just going to kind of get to coast with, you know, the massive lead that he had already built out earlier in the map. But regardless, without that miss, this was looking to be, and still probably could be, maybe some of the best No Mod 3 scores we've seen this week. I would not be too surprised to learn that. All right, take your bets. How many hundreds? Oh, I said 5 earlier. Wow, let's go. All right, yeah. Froot is too good at no mod for, you know, that pit to even be kind of close, unfortunately. But again, you know, you're playing into him. You know Froot's strengths at this point. I think it is kind of a given that a lot of these no mod picks, assuming it's not something crazy gimmick, is gonna be very hard to compete with. So now it's gonna be all on Cookie to find a point that isn't in the hidden pool in order to stay in this one. I mean, given what we've seen now, it seems unlikely that I think we see a Hard Rock. I mean, they haven't dipped into the pool yet at this point. Yeah, and we get a DT2. I was gonna say, I mean, Hard Rock maybe could have panned out, but given that the 2 maps available in Hard Rock are something that I think Froot would be so powerful on regardless, it did seem like kind of a gamble play. So I think a DTD pick here does make sense. I mean, when your opponent's Froot, there's not going to be any picks that I think you feel 100% confident on regardless, unless it's those hidden picks. So this is, you know, making do with what Cookie has at this point. Now, what I'd like to be able to point out is that, off the back of this being a more speed-oriented map, a lot more burst coming through, it should, in theory, be a pretty good one, but we've already seen Froot have, ridiculously solid scores on both of the No Mod 2 speed-oriented pits, the No Mod 2 and the No Mod 5. Not that they'd be the same exact skill set here, but so far, actually showing that with the DT and TAT, the accuracies are going to be about even. So with Cookie holding a slightly better combo, well, actually, no. Now Froot does tear away with the accuracy a bit. Despite combos being even, this is still pretty razor thin now. Froot does hold that lead ever so slightly.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Yeah, and as we can see here, with neither player above 90% at the moment, it's pretty much whoever's going to be able to hold through some of these bursts that's going to be able to take this map from here on. We're already more than halfway through, and it's not a very long pit either. As we're getting deeper in, Froot's building up that accuracy. Even though Cookie's also building it, as long as they're both building the accuracy with even combos like this, it's still going to remain in Froot's favor.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Only really one more pattern here, maybe, that could trip either up. Some of these stacks on these bursts, but there's pretty much no map left. I think that's going to seal it here. Yep. Damn, it is a testament to how strong Cookie has been throughout this entire run at this point. I think an 800k, I mean 799, but I mean, let's call a spade a spade. An 800k on that is an insane score that I think beats out tons of players in this bracket, but Froot is unfortunately just that much better. So it's going to be hard to get these points where Cookie otherwise would have got them pretty comfortably. And now, despite some of the crazy close matches we did, some of the scores, and some of the picks that we did exhaust, Froot's finally out of no mods. We get to see a Hard Rock 1, so again, this is I think unsurprisingly the most Froot map left in this pool at this stage. It's going to be all aim consistency, it's going to be all burst, it's going to be the stuff that Froot is expected to very comfortably put up ridiculous numbers on. So Cookie can hope that because it's Hard Rock, that maybe that will swing the tide. And it is a longer map too, so there's a good chance that combo gaming here is going to matter a lot, but I mean, when Froot's already on match point and this map is still left in the pool, that's a very scary prospect. Couple early miss aims coming out from Cookie's end. At the moment, though, accuracy not so far in Froot's favor, but I will say the trend with a lot of these maps have been that the intro has usually been where the accuracy has been the biggest struggle. We do see a break coming through, and that's before any of the harder jumps in the map. Maybe adjusting to this CS, maybe adjusting to this hard rock now, but now that the map has settled a little bit more and the accuracies have started to, you know, rest where they are, definitely showing that Froot's going to be a lot more favored in terms of actually, you know, reading this AR and hitting this accuracy required. Here comes some of the first major jumps coming through. Couple wide angles that are pretty easy to miss aim on hard rock, especially in match. I mean, unfortunately for Cookie's end, Froot does miss aim, but within a second later, Cookie also miss aims. Another pattern there, so, you know, score is not gonna flip from Froot's side. And now,
Amazing.
into this break, they can both clearly see, Froot sees that there's no combo on the other end. Doesn't need to be a stress. Can kind of just play out this match as they've been doing at this point. Cookie's been finding a lot of misses, but Froot has not had a major runaway combo at this point yet. We're only halfway through. The map is not closed out just yet. Oh, but yeah, again, a little bit more over aim coming out from Cookie's end. I think that's maybe the second or third slider now that we've seen Cookie ever so slightly miss aim, maybe hitting the edge and breaking combo because of it, which really makes it difficult to even come back or have a chance to come back here. And, you know, now that we've gotten this far into the map, we see that Froot's still holding and is nearly about to break the 98% threshold despite, you know, dropping ACK on a lot of parts at the beginning of the map. Oh, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't going to be enough map left now, unfortunately, for Cookie to come back unless Froot had a meltdown, but that stream does end up sealing it. Looks like, you know, no mod or not, as long as the approach circles are there, Froot is going to be ridiculously hard to deal with, no matter who he's facing. Clearly, this hard rock one is no exception there. A shaky start, pretty much thrown away into what is, you know, almost a 550k 98 accuracy play at the end. And yeah, closes it out. Super strong pit to end out this match. 300k score lead. I think Cookie put up some ridiculous scores in response. And huge props to Cookie even taking those 2 points that they did. But congrats to Froot. Huge performance here, and that secures Froot's place in, you know, that winners finals against Katyn. Alright, as we reach the later part of the week, there's only going to be one match left. We're down to what, I think 7 players still, and then 6 after this last match coming through. We've only got the 2 players and winners now, Froot and Katine, with Noom Cookie slated to happen later on. And our final match of the week is going to be Rack versus Vinci to see who faces off against Kuda. I mean, prior to the start of this week, there were already not going to be any free matches, in my opinion, and now every single match, I think, is going to be ridiculously hard for everyone involved, so major props to whoever's going to be able to, you know, pull forth in this one. But yeah, good luck to anyone who's still left to play. Rack and Vinci on their match as well, and then for the rest of the people in the pool. But yeah, that'll be it from me.